I feel it's kind of bad that people always say like, Johnny, why aren't you on the front lines fighting? And in the beginning, I felt like such a pussy for not doing it. And I was, I don't have any military training, but also, logically did it make sense because I don't have any military experience, I don't speak the language, I feel like I'd be more of a liability than an actual asset. And then, I guess two things happened. One, first people said they wouldn't accept me anyways, because I don't have the experience. And then secondly, they said, actually you are fighting on the front lines, but in the same war, but on a different front line against Russian propaganda, against this BS that Russia is waging. Like, what are your thoughts on this?
Actually, it's one of the most important fights that you can have because Russian propaganda is their main weapon. It always was. They invented this shit.
As the war in Ukraine continues, the combat on a second battlefield is increasingly important, the fight for trust. Russia targets national and international audiences with a massive propaganda campaign that works on different levels. Let's take a look at some examples. First up, on Russian primetime state television, the Russian Duma deputy Alexander Borodai claims,
воюют войска НАТО, реально уже штатные войска.
Russia's propaganda is by no means intended to influence only the Russian population. Many fakes are aimed at an international audience.
About the context of Ukraine, the thing that we have been researching, many things are indicating to the Kremlin. I mean, not maybe the Kremlin itself, but the actors who are supporting the Kremlin, who are working for them, the Kremlin media, etc., etc.
So I think it's very important because you don't just protect Ukraine, you protect other people, other countries by fighting Russian propaganda. So it's important.
Lately, we've seen a shift towards new topics, like the energy crisis in Europe and the sanctions against Russia. Some things are only slightly changed or taken out of context. Others are freely invented and are almost comical, like this claim from Russian state television.
Мелких бактериях, чесоточных клещах.
On the main news show, the presenter tells us that bacteria, scabies, mites, fleas, and even lice are spreading in Europe right now because people don't wash themselves because of the energy crisis. Europe is rolling back to the Middle Ages, the anchor says.
Несносно воняли, чесались и болели неприличными болезнями.
So the longer I've been exposed to this and the more I'm exposed to it, I'm starting to understand it more. But I think in the beginning, I've always heard this word propaganda, and honestly, I always kind of laughed at it. I thought like, like who falls for a poster or some, who cares, right? But it actually makes a difference. Like if, let's say, there was nobody fighting Russian propaganda, how do you think this war would have changed? What do you think would be the difference?
Do you want to know the main reason why Russia attacked?
Tell me.
It wasn't because they wanted to invade, to capture territories and shit. It was because genetically modified birds, mosquitoes, created specifically to kill Russians, dirty bomb, and all that shit.
Особый интерес вызвала детальная информация о реализации США на территории Украины проекта по изучению переноса патогенов, мигрирующих между Украиной и Россией, и другими соседними странами, дикими птицами.
Потому что они желто-синие, украинские птицы, и всячески избегать поддержки, а еще лучше охотиться на снегирей, потому что снегирь — это птица, символизирующая клятую Россию.
So, I'm talking that according to Russian propaganda, they invaded because my scientists, together with your scientists, created birds that kill. And people believe this.
I mean, first, I can't believe anybody would believe that.
But people do.
And because people, and you're talking about like average Russian citizens, because they believe it, they push their government into starting the war, or I guess they allow the government to start the war because maybe Putin has some other reasons why he wants. Maybe it's, you know, who knows, oil, gas, more land, more ambitions, more, you know, more power, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But if Russian people, the normal citizens, didn't fall for Russia Channel 1 propaganda, they could not have invaded, because people would say, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah. And it's not only about their media, it's about their whole culture. Actually, Russia has numerous institutions that work in this direction. They, like, everything they do is fueled by their music, their movies, of course. In every movie they make since 2000, I think, they have those, you know, Ukrainian criminals, Ukrainian hookers, some kind of Nazi banderivets, Ukrainian, I don't know, bandits. In the US, they're filmed Brother 2, for example, famous Russian gangster movie, and things like that. So they have numerous institutions that spread all this shit into their culture, and they use their culture as a weapon. Again, their cultural expansion in Ukraine in the 90s, something that we're still fighting with. Because, you know, I'm not against cultural expansion if it brings something beautiful. I'm not like, I don't have anything against like foreign music, foreign books, movies, etc., etc.
I mean, we're literally at a Chinese restaurant in Ukraine.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no Nazis here saying, no,
Yes.
you can't eat Asian food.
Absolutely, but the difference between Chinese restaurant and Russian movies is that Chinese don't use their restaurant as a weapon.
Yeah. Yeah, if China started using this restaurant as a way to, like, say how communist the regime is superior than democracy, then yeah, people would try to shut it down. But
Yeah.
it's like just spreading good food.
Yeah,
You know, and if you want to bring Russian food, like, go ahead, but don't bring your bullshit with it.
absolutely, and that's the reason, for example, why some of Russian media, including their oppositional channels, are being closed abroad. It's because they use everything possible as, you know, as a weapon to justify their terrorist acts.
Yeah, and it's hard because honestly, before the war, I did not believe that Russia would ever. I really thought they're not. This is 2022. We're in a civilized society. There's no reason for someone to invade a country, especially with tanks and soldiers. I know, you know, I knew that Russia had done a lot of bad things in the past, but I thought, you know what? Every country has had its history, but we're not invading new countries in 2022. We can forgive them, like, just, you know, we're not going to attack. It's just bullshit, you know? And I felt really stupid afterward for a little bit, because, you know, all the warning signs were there. They were on the border for so long.
Yeah.
Everybody in the Western media, on Instagram, YouTube was saying, Johnny, get out of Ukraine. You know, they're attacking for sure.
Arriving in Ukraine, the Russians releasing new video tonight of their troops in training exercises.
If he were to move in with all those forces, it'd be the largest invasion since World War II. It would change the world.
The Kremlin's consistently denied it plans to invade, accusing the US of hysteria.
But I feel like the majority of Ukrainian people I knew, especially the very intelligent people, like business people were, you know, opening new restaurants still in January.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what, these people probably know more than some random person watching, you know, just U.S. news, you know, that's never been in Ukraine. Like, from kind of your point of view, so, like, did you know that Russia would attack for sure?
I think probably in December.
So you thought that they would?
Yeah.
But like, when you're talking to other people and friends, like, and they said no way. Like, did you also see that?
Yeah, some of them were like that. We knew that they were not gonna attack in summer last year, obviously, because yeah, even despite the fact that they had all those military exercise and shit, but like I was analyzing messages coming from Russia, and in their media they were saying stuff like, if we want, we will kill everybody because Russia fought and stuff. That's when I knew that they were not going to attack. In December, they changed their rhetorics, and they started saying we are a peaceful nation. We are not going to invade Ukraine. We are brothers, and that's when I knew that I gotta prepare my bag.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? It seems like the opposite. Where when they were.
That's exactly the way how you gotta read Russians.
Okay. So when they're being like nice and saying, "Oh, everything's okay," that's when they'll stab you.
Yeah. And that's what happened basically. So you see, we Ukrainians, we live next to Russians for centuries, and we fight for centuries, and that's why we know what Russians are capable of. And all their rhetoric, all their lies and bullshit, we all learned that.
Well, I think now the whole world has learned a valuable lesson that we can't trust Russia. Guys, I'm sorry that I thought that Russia could be civilized and change, but it turns out they can't.
But we can make it civilized eventually,
Yeah.
after it's defeated.
I think that's the only way. It's like a bully, right?
Yeah.
If you are nice to the bully, you try to make some compensation. Say, okay, I can't give you all my lunch money, but maybe like I can give you some of it, or half my sandwich, or something, or I, be nice to you. It doesn't work. Like you just need to beat up the bully and say, "Don't ever touch me again."
And break his legs, and after that you can have peaceful conversation.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that we can have this peaceful conversation over some food.
Thanks to our guys and my brothers who protect Ukraine at this point, and my guys are currently stationed in Bakhmut. It's a tough place, I must say, and my buddy Max, my second best officer, he often posts a lot of videos on his channel, so you gotta make sure that you subscribe to The Flashback.
За всех детей украинских, пидорасы!
And also Brandon too, he just got back from Bakhmut. He's been helping civilians and military there with medical.
Yeah.
In the first week of the war, I decided to come to Ukraine. So I've been here since 3 weeks into the war. I came week 3 of the war. I've been here since then.
Which we're going to be meeting him actually tonight for dinner. But for now, let's just go back out into the cold, and I'll ask you a few more questions.
All right.
Oh, perfect. Oh, so we mentioned Brandon at first. How do, I was reading the comments and people, foreigners really love Brandon because it represents what I think a lot of people wish that they could do. And either they can't because they have family obligations or jobs, or, they're scared to getting blown up and killed in Ukraine, which I understand. I'm the same.
I knew I had to follow the tracks of the tires because there wasn't only anti-tank mines, there was anti-personnel mines, the butterfly mines, the pebble mines. Call them whatever you want, I'm not an expert, but I wanted to wait in the corner for Victor to go so the dust could settle a bit so I could see the road, and I panicked and I didn't, and I hit 2 anti-personnel mines.
How do Ukrainians feel when they see videos like that where they meet guys like Brandon, these foreign volunteers that are risking their lives in Ukraine?
Ukrainians love foreign volunteers. Again, we didn't have enough, we didn't have much friends, even in peaceful times, simply because Ukraine wasn't a very popular place to visit, even despite the fact that I blame, bad marketing.
Yeah, okay.
I really do, because we have amazing places in Ukraine. We have mountains, shores with plenty of beaches. We have forests, we have a desert, we have everything. But due to bad marketing, we didn't have much guests.
Yeah, and also, honestly, I think it was language barrier, because when I came in 2016, I could not communicate to anybody. I couldn't even order like lunch.
Called Big Zhytomyrska Street. And this place is amazing because, especially in summer, when we have plenty of green stuff everywhere, there's a lot of those figures, and it's the best place to visit with your special someone, for example. Yeah, so you will know.
So since we're both single, he's taking me there this beautiful, romantic, cold day. But I think, honestly, all of Kyiv is beautiful in the winter. Like, it's like the snow. It just fell this morning, so it's still soft. I think it's like, I never liked winter.
Same here.
But now I really appreciate it, actually.
I still hate it because I'm a soldier, and majority of my deployments happened in winter.
Yeah.
That's why I hate it with all my heart. But in Kyiv it's very beautiful.
And this winter, I think Russia hates it even more.
Oh yeah.
Because like a lot of people don't realize that as hard as it is for the Ukrainians on the front line, it's even harder for the Russians because they have no support and no one cares about them.
Yeah. I think that our ancestors made a small mistake when they picked a place to build like our capital city and stuff, because in Ukraine you have to wear 2 pairs of pants for like half a year.
Yeah.
Which I hate. But everything else is okay.
Yeah, well, that's why we have a hot borscht to keep us warm. Yeah. Alright guys, that's been a very fun day hanging out with Operator Starsky. We're actually back at St. Michael's. We were talking about how locals really like foreign volunteers. I noticed your channel's in English. Why do you think it's important for this information to get to a foreign audience?
Because people must know about it. People must know why this war started. People must know about Ukrainians. I am convinced that the only way you can progress and become successful is through friendship, through partnership, through trading, through, Grandpa Sefcovic said that as well. My point is that we should all be friends, partners, and we should learn about each other. That's the only way we can start understanding each other.
So you don't think Russia's isolation theory, where they want to produce their own cars and iPhones, is going to work?
Yeah, I saw that Ford Kuga that for some reason is called Moskvich now. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. By the way, we're walking by this wall.
Yeah.
It looks like a remembrance wall for the people who fought to defend Ukraine in 2014.
Yes, since 2014, and there are my guys who will visit them.
Wow. Man, I can't imagine how many monuments will have to come up after this war, because this war will end. I don't know if you want to make a prediction, but I'm hoping that by next summer I'll be relaxing here in peace. So hopefully in the next 6 months. Do you think it's a possibility?
I hope for tomorrow.
Yes.
But
absolutely. But I know for sure 100% that Russia's current strategy of trying to get Ukraine to give up is not going to work, because I know enough Ukrainians who they'll be willing to freeze for 3 winters without electricity, without water, than to give up to Russia, especially now.
Absolutely. There are so many of my friends, not only from my brigade, but from other units, Those are mine. This is Sergeant Serhiy Mikhalchuk. He died protecting his brother in arms in the area of Svetlodarsk Bulge during the attack, and he became a hero of Ukraine, and our brigade is named after hero of Ukraine, Sergeant Serhiy Mikhalchuk.
Wow.
That's Alexander Markiv. He was our first loss in this Svetlodarsk campaign in 2019. He has a little son, and we had to bury Alexander in closed coffin.
Mm-hmm.
And his son couldn't really realize that his father passed away, so I had to explain how his dad died to his little son. It's probably the hardest task that I had to do in my life. And Dmitry Antikov is our artillery coordinator. He died at the front line coordinating our artillery that basically saved a lot of our lives, a lot of our soldiers. And when he died, his wife was giving birth to his child. It happened exactly.
Wow. There's so many fallen soldiers on this wall, and this is just from before Russia even officially declared that they're coming into Ukraine for their war. I mean, I don't know what to call it. I can't imagine how big this wall is going to have to be after 2022 when this all ends. But it's crazy, and it's all for nothing. Like, it's whatever you guys have read or heard or believe, I'll guarantee you with a 100% certainty that this was a pointless war, that nobody in Ukraine needed liberating or rescuing. You know, Russia and Putin, they're psychopaths in 2022, and this wall is just a small portion of the reality out there.
There are more pictures.
Wow.
It's since, yeah.
From this year?
From this year.
It's so crazy. Like, you know, it's crazy because it's not history, it's current day. You know, and these are people that I could have seen walking around Kyiv or around Ukraine just earlier this year, and they're gone.
And it was so, you know, it was so crazy because during the battle in the area of Hostomel and Irpin, majority of my brigade, our battalion tactical group, it was on the east, and people who fought for Irpin, Hostomel, Bucha, those were like officers, top officers fighting together with soldiers, with privates, you know. For example, Colonel Lishishin, he also he served in my brigade, and he died during this battle for Hostomel and Irpin. It wasn't like you know, we had our main combat force, main infantry force located in Kiev that time, because again, majority of us were on the east, and here we had conscripts, we had just small number of professional soldiers, we had a lot of officers here, and all they participated, except for conscripts, they participated in this fight for Hostomel and Irpin.
Wow. Yeah, and I've been to Hostomel, Irpin, and Bucha right after the liberation. So, what was it? After it happened all in March and April, May, I was there, and it was fresh. Like, you saw the fresh damage. It's so crazy. Like, it's like watching a World War II documentary, but instead of being in black and white, it's right in front of you. And I am, at first I want to say I hope and pray this never happens again, but that seldom works. I think the only way is to support our defenders and make sure that it never happens again. So thank you to everybody who is fighting currently, and definitely to all the people who have lost their lives defending freedom and Ukraine.
Actually, you gotta visit Bucha now, because after all those horrors that Russians did there to civilians, the city is still full of life.
Yeah,
it's it's crazy. People hanging around, like, together with their families and spending time together, and whatever happens, Ukraine will always be Ukraine. We will always cheer and laugh whatever happens to us.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I've always loved about Ukrainians, is the spirit that nothing could stop Ukraine. And that's why I know for sure, like, even though it's not, I mean, I like, to be honest, it would be much easier if I just left Ukraine and never came back. I have a US passport, I can work anywhere, and people think I'm insane for coming back here, but it's because I believe in the future of Ukraine. I believe that Ukraine is going to be an even better place 5, 10, 20 years from now.
Yeah.
And I'm investing, my time, my money, my life, my reputation on that fact, and I really believe it. I really think so. Like, am I crazy, or like?
We all have this same feeling here. We are convinced that 1, we will win. 2, Ukraine will be successful. We are convinced.
Yeah, and I think we're right. I hope we're right, but I think we're right. I guess to end this, what are your thoughts about foreigners being in Ukraine right now? Is it a hindrance? Is it helpful? Is it, should people like me be here? But also, what about on the opposite spectrum? Should like a tourist come here to spend money and help the economy, or is that too dangerous?
First of all, it's dangerous.
Yes.
Because, even us, we send our families abroad to make sure that, they will not become victims of missile strikes and stuff like that. It's dangerous. But on the other hand, I can say that, international support is the biggest psychological support for Ukrainians right now. And seeing people speaking different language on a street, it's big support for Ukrainians. Probably one of the biggest supports.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So there you guys have it. We are the ambassadors of our countries, of the foreign nations, to show the support, to help Ukraine remember that they're not alone, to come here, spend some money, and help the businesses. But I do have one rule for you guys. Don't be a dickhead. If you guys are going to come, please act appropriately. Do realize that people are suffering in the country. So don't become a drunk, loud, idiot. Also realize there is war happening, and some things just, it's sensitive here. So if you come, please try to be a good person. But, it is, it is helpful.
At the same time, there's a lot of Ukrainians abroad, and I really hope that they behave well, because it's important as well. But I heard that they do.
Definitely, the vast majority of Ukrainians that I've met abroad have been very adequate, civilized people. Obviously, there's always going to be a few idiots, but in general, I think the reason why the West has welcomed Ukrainian refugees so well, and also to stay longer and integrate, is because Ukrainians are generally just very civilized, hardworking people with a similar cultural upbringing. So it is what it is, and Poland, it's our it's our neighbors, right? So it's if Canadians ever needed to come to America because Russia attacked Canada, we would welcome Canadians,
Yeah.
So okay, Starsky, that was fun. I think that's it.